Hey everyone, I thought it might do some good for my game to record the games and uh, post them if they're worth posting, um, with some commentary to try to improve. Um, I do find it kind of annoying that Twilight Struggle has no easy way that I'm aware of to just play back a game, like when you're playing, for example, a chess game, and you can just run the moves very quickly. Um, so I thought this might be a good way to review and try to shore up weaknesses and look for areas that I can sharpen up. So this game, I've actually haven't played 45 minutes in a while, probably at least. Well, it's been a while, I think. So it's a little faster than what I'm used to, and I think that might be reflected in my play in this game. But anyway, I just wanted to kind of preface the video with that. I'll keep posting as I find time to play more games and do some commentary on them. So in this situation, I'm against wulibaba, who's ranked in the mid 1700s when this game was played. And I in the USSR. As you can see, the headline has already been played. It was Nasser and East European unrest. I didn't want to start recording until Willy Baba was good with it, so that's why the recording starts here. So with that, let's just get into the game here. So this is a Nasser headline, obviously to stop Middle East, which wasn't played. East European unrest is, I think, a bit of an odd headline. Usually you want to play that for ops, I think. So I don't know what else to do, so I coup in Iran. Just seems, I don't, there might be better plays. I know some people go into South Korea. To me, the access that Iran provides makes cooing worth it, with the 3-op at least. So okay, he spreads influence. It makes sense. Hard to pick the exact target here. I don't have a ton of ops, so I'm trying to be judicious with what I have. That's an accident as I'm trying to figure out a stream. That's so is that. Hopefully that'll stop soon. I think it does. So I'm thinking about maybe spacing here, but with so much access gained by my opponent, that doesn't seem that strong to me. I'm trying to hold Korean War, hoping he goes into Korea and I can just play the event. Thinking about maybe holding De Gaulle over as a turn 2 headline if I draw defectors. Ultimately, I'm looking to a coup with Truman Doctrine. I like cooing with one-offs because I feel that the potential for a roll can convert one-offs into much more powerful cards, and if the roll misses, it's usually not that big of a deal because you just burned a one-op. And the loss of tempo is probably more significant. But I hit the roll there. So now I'm pressuring Middle East domination and without presence. So he has to respond to that. He's actually lucky I don't have Mid East here because I easily could. Now I do get into space because I feel like I have enough control of the situation. Although, I don't know. It might have been better to try to press something there. So we start to see why he headlined Europe. His hand is not good at all. This play, I don't really know. I don't believe I made the correct play. It's, again, trying to pressure, but really 50-50 roll on that probably isn't worth it. I think Thailand is really important in this USSR without any access cards. I'm trying to figure out a way to get in there. So he goes into Jordan, which seemed weird to me. I don't know why you wouldn't just coup into Lebanon. I think this play for Iraq makes sense. Gives me another battleground to prevent poke. And also, I don't want him to walk into Iran, Pakistan, since I've pretty much locked him out of that whole region. Again, you can see his hand. Interesting he didn't UN. I guess he wouldn't want a UN blockade there. Just a bad hand. So I try to grab 2 Doms in case they come out and, I don't want him to be able to headline, for example, Asia or Mideast for no domination. And then he goes into Malaysia, which at least gets me a VP. Pretty good hand, not too bad, although 2 scorings. I feel pretty confident about Europe there. No reason to really do anything else with defectors still in play. This is an interesting spot with the DEFCON at 5. And this is why I think a lot of players degrade DEFCON, so that if they get a decall here, they can just go into Thailand. But I felt like I was going to be giving up Thailand if I degraded DEFCON by, for example, killing Panama in the prior turn. So I decided to just grab the 4 VPs and get some hand flexibility. RSP is a bit tough here, but at least I have scoring an event I play, so I haven't felt any pain on that yet. I think that's probably the right play. Another turn without letting RSP affect my hand and get the VPs that are sure to be had at some point. Now here, I make a play that, upon reflection, I don't agree with. Maybe it could be defended, but I don't think it can. I just think the odds are too low. I mean, I bomb a 6 into there, but I think I was frustrated that I let Thailand get away from me. Although I'm not really sure what I could have done differently. So now decall is a pretty obvious play to put a lot of pressure on him in Asia. I guess I thought even if I cleared him out of Thailand, perhaps I could decall. I was just trying to slow him down, but I don't know. Especially with the possibility of a Riku. Okay, so here I'm realizing that he's going to have to react to Thailand, so I can just go into any African country I want. But then the problem is when he goes into Thailand, I'm giving up Cambodia. Although then he only has two ops, I assume. Otherwise he would have played it. Here it's pretty risky what I'm doing, with CIA still in the deck. But as long as I can fade it for one turn, it's gonna pay off. I mean, Thailand is so important. It's one of the most important countries in the game. So I decided to grab that in Cambodia, and this is when I realized that perhaps going into Angola and Nigeria was ill-advised. Probably the better play would have been to go into Cambodia and South Africa. But interestingly, and of course I have to overprotect Thailand. Interestingly, he doesn't go into Zaire. I think Zaire is somewhat of a must there. But he wants to make sure he gets Europe for domination because he's down in the VP track, so there's a logic to that. And I redraw Purge, which is nice. But no D-stall. He's got D-stall in his hand. I'm anticipating defectors, so not a strong headline. And I try to punish the Angola Zaire misplay, in my opinion, but it doesn't work out, so maybe he was right, with Angola being a little overprotected. So obviously I want to try to score Asia, but he knows that I have Asia, so he goes very aggressively. And here I have two options, and I choose that one. I go for the war, which would guarantee me domination, of course, and a big score. But now I've missed that roll, so I could be in some trouble here, and I am, because he's going to flip Cambodia. So I'm trying to, of course, score domination. And I want to make sure I don't get flipped in Indonesia. Now, the only advantage to this kind of state of affairs is that I don't have a lot of great places to play off. I mean, I guess Middle East filling up would have been good, but I can't go into any other mid-war region. So at least this doesn't force me to waste ops in unusual places. But he of course pressures India, which I can't allow. And then I go into North Korea. I think that's a mistake. I think I should have gone to the Philippines to put all the pressure on him to react to that. After all, you can always break India instead of North Korea, so that enables him to get one into Panama. This play also bad by me. If Quagmire comes out, yeah, then it's painless, but Quagmire, it could be 7 turns of NORAD if it doesn't come out for me, so I didn't want to get Contaminant because I know he can easily just flip it back with any 2-op, and I really want to score that extra 4 points for Asia domination, which with my 2 mill ops would put me in range of winning the game potentially on turn 4. But the problem is he knows I have Asia, so he doesn't have to worry about anything really. And knows I can't take France, so he just responds. I score Asia for a couple. But at least he can't regain Europe domination. And I have access to Algeria now. So South America, but I don't have any way to get in there really unless I try to coup Panama and walk, which seems a little far-fetched. So I'm contemplating what to do. Obviously, looking at France being vulnerable, and I have a lot of good, decent number of ops. And then if I played Brezhnev, I'd have even more ops. So headline here, the headline isn't really that obvious, to me at least. I go to South America thinking as long as he doesn't have probably Junta or perhaps ABO, I'm not going to score it negatively. But he has CIA. And I'm surprised with the quick decision to coup in Nigeria. I'm thinking going into Colombia would seem to make more sense there for the two VPs. But that tips me off to the idea that he probably has Africa scoring. Especially just the speed of the decision. And after a little bit of equivocation, I lock in that move. So now I'm pressuring France, of course, which he will have to respond to, and does. I don't like getting cultural here. Trying to retain a little flexibility with my 4 ops, preventing him from equalizing Mid-East, depending on Sadat and Camp David. Not happy about seeing that. He hits the space roll. Going to Libya, that might have taken a little bit too long, but in any case, I have it now. Because if he hits Sadat, getting locked out of all of that region, sub-region, was pretty damaging. Okay, so now, yeah, it definitely looks like he's trying to score Asia, so I figure let's get some attacking in. Plus, I want to get rid of Nixon. In other words, get it out of the deck. So he just scores Africa, which is interesting. I guess he figures. You figure he must have a weak hand if he didn't even contest France there. But now I have domination in Europe thanks to Romanian, so that was quite a sudden change in Europe. Oh, so he has holding that card, so there's one less card to deal with for Africa. He equalizes in Europe. I need mill ops here because of CIA. And I'm debating if I want to give up those 2 VPs. In general, I think it's probably better to play Nixon to give up the China card rather than give up 2 VPs outright. But since I flipped France with it, I think in that situation it was correct. So I missed the roll, not very significant, and get my mill ops. And the problem here is now I've given him NORAD because he needs to fight for European country count. I think Greece should have been played there. Although a poke into Iraq does generate problems for me, so I don't know. I think at this point I wasn't thinking I was going to probably get European domination. Then he goes, what did he? I don't know about that play either. I think you probably want to play Panama for the event there, if possible. Okay, so Cuban Missile Crisis here with the idea that I don't want to give up the NORAD op because Thailand can be flipped if that happens. So, and I figure it pretty much hurts his coup chances a lot because he's not going to want to take 2 out of West Germany, most likely. So now that I have Europe, I am thinking, well, I got to probably try to score it. So I do go into Greece. Threatening Turkey, which will give me domination. And he can only fill up with 3 ops, so, and I still have at least one more 2 op in Yugoslavia to go into. So that would seem to be to my advantage. Of course, I want to play Missile Envy, but We Will Bury You is still active. Of course, I'm not going to let the double space. Perhaps I could have played Marshall for ops, but I hate doing that. Okay, so he's obviously preparing to coup somewhere, which is fine with me because I grab European domination. Pays the piper on Cuban Missile Crisis and flips Libya with the help of NORAD. and I'm grateful to score Europe. Need mill ops, but I have no way to get it. So, with Fidel in the discard, he is filling up Central America, which I can do nothing about. Decided to get off so special for free, and I like getting adjacency to Canada. More out in play. Almost blundered, but didn't. So I'm figuring, yeah, Central America for sure at this point. Finally, D-Stall's played. And contemplate that play. But then I decide that getting pole position for Middle East domination is more important. And hope I draw sent to Great Defcon in the headline. Or Quagmire. Again, he refuses to place influence in South America, so I'm fine. I'm definitely fine with that. We Will Bury You comes too late for missile envy to be maximized. I decide it's finally time to trigger Brezhnev. He grabs Central America in the headline. Pretty risky play if he doesn't have Junta or Brush War. So everything is more complicated with NORAD. At least I have the China cards, so I can coup, and I do. Just adding a little presence, more presence in Africa. He's going to fight for Mid-East. Not getting Che for anything is annoying, of course. Especially on turn 6, you don't see that too much. It's kind of a tricky hand here, because I don't necessarily want to give 3 points for Alliance. I can't play Duck. I don't really want to bear trap myself and Astronaut, so it's tricky for sure. So he grabs Southeast Asia for a couple points. Kind of got just overpowered in that region. So dot's a logical play. And we're about to give up Romania, I should say. I want to grab Mid East domination. Shoring up Algeria, that makes sense too. And secure Europe as well. Makes sense. Kind of on the back foot here. I'm trying to figure out how to how to not get poked in Middle East, but with access to 3 battlegrounds, it's pretty tough. And I have an odd surplus of ops. I figured with NORAD, I might as well shore up Thailand more. Grateful for some relief in Europe. South Korea protection makes sense. I was thinking about going in there with these ops. I was thinking about using Bear Trap to jam into South Korea and force him to respond to that, but now that's off the table. So I'm trying to figure out how to. I'm thinking he probably has Middle East scoring, so I'm trying to figure out how to ensure that I get domination, and this is the solution I come up with. I guess it's fine. The problem is if I miss a Bear Trap here, even if I don't miss a Bear Trap, you could flip Iran pretty easily. Seemingly an odd play. South America scored, Asia scored, Mid East isn't. I tend to think that Iran play would have made more sense, but then he decides to get mill ops, so I think I kind of got away with one there. And with Junta coming to my hand, the Colombia play is a lot less threatening. Glad to see VOA trigger first. Pretty obvious play there. I don't have a ton of ops. Well, I have decent ops, but I want to play Quagmire for the event, so that kind of limits what I can do. Okay, can't let him get Pakistan or Iran, so I think this makes sense. Puppets. So right now I'm thinking about, can I play Salt for the event if I Quagmire first? Do I want to do that? And since this is turn 7, I could hold RSP through. Potentially the reshuffle. China card, I mean, Cultural and Nixon are out of the game, and Usuri has been played. So right now, I cannot have the China card taken from me. And what I should be thinking, although I am not, I remember that I was not thinking this, is that he could have Lone Gunman. If he has Lone Gunman, and there's no reshuffle, there's Aldrich Games and Terrorism, which could potentially win me the game. Happy to grab a couple VPs, of course. I wasn't expecting that very powerful card into Iraq, but I'm happy that I can even score domination at this point. Brain cells for good measure. Not a good pull. Again, I missed the space for those 2 VPs, effectively 4 VPs. He grabs it. And here, trying to put a little pressure on him in South America. Sets up solidarity. And this is a mistake, because I did not want him to be able to discard Lone Gunman. But he doesn't have it. So I get away with 1. Again. That play is because I'm afraid of how I learned to stop worrying. Scoring 5 VPs if he plays it. And then he did have it. So I'm not sure why he didn't still play it for the 2 VPs, but he doesn't. And it hits me that there has been no reshuffle, which is unusual. Because there was no Armin in Tehran, and Kennedy only discarded 1 card. But that space roll gives him Star Wars with every card essentially in the discard. and he grabs grain sales, which pulls KAL007, which I'm not happy about. Obviously, he's going to get a couple VPs and 4 ops. So that evens up South America. But, as I mentioned, we know he has lone gunman, which I wasn't thinking about. So when I've been doing hour-long games, at the end of every turn 3 and 7, I've been checking, or end of turn, I should say 2 and 6, I've been checking to see what cards are left. In this case, though, it's possible he doesn't have lone gunman, I guess, because there are still cards to be drawn, but the odds are decent that he has it. There are only a couple cards in the... Yeah, actually, now that I think about it, there was no guarantee at all that he had it. But I'm thinking he might have Brush War right now, so I figure, I'll get rid of it, and then I see he has lone gunman. So, yeah, that's going to be game over. He has no way to improve DEF CON, besides Glassnos, which isn't good enough, so it only improves at 1 level. And I'm processing the fact that I guess I've won, but it's odd because he knew he had lone gunman, and he had Star Wars, so he could have done any number of things to eliminate lone gunman from his hand. Well, probably not that, but he could have improved DEF CON. Certainly. You could have grabbed Saul. There's a lot of things he could have done. And I guess really... Yeah, I guess all he... I mean, well... He might have had to grab... Well, he could have certainly grabbed Hyler and Stop Worrying and just improved DEF CON to 5. And taken the hit. So he's right that it is pretty lucky that he drew lone gunman there. Although ultimately he's got about a 50-50 shot of drawing it at some point here. So here I think I should have known he had it, but upon reflection, and that's why I'm glad I'm doing this, he didn't have to have it. Because the late war cards are shuffled in, so those 2-3 mid-war cards that are in there could come out at any time before the reshuffle. Yeah, so those are the 2 cards I needed in combination with him drawing lone gunman. But it's interesting. I don't know who would have won this game if it had been played out. I think he's probably better because it's going to be hard for me to get Asia for domination. Europe domination, that's actually looking okay, but Mideast could be a little vulnerable to, well, Iraq War or Muslim Revolution. And I'm just making sure right now that since I have 15 minutes on the clock that there's no way he can win. Which I don't believe there is, but no need to rush it if it is in fact going to be over. double checking to make sure that my math's right. I just didn't. I wasn't. I should have been thinking of Lone Gunman. I just wasn't. Making sure that none of these interact with DEF CON in any way. Which, I mean, I know they don't, but you never know. At this point, it's all pretty much window dressing, but he plays it out. You never know. Maybe I make a mistake. Maybe he figures something out. It's not very lucky, but not gonna matter either. Grabbing Panama helps if this did go to final scoring. Yeah, at this point, I think I would say it's pretty even, actually, if this was to continue. And that makes it official. So, yeah, that's this game. Boy, there were a lot of mistakes, way more than I thought. Even, and I didn't think it was particularly well played, but I would say queuing Thailand was a huge gamble that just happened to pay off. Playing NORAD into Southeast Asia when it didn't even really get me much. Arguably not a good play, although it did get me to dominate Europe, because otherwise he probably doesn't even play De Gaulle, although maybe he does. Yeah, I mean, definitely a lot of room for improvement. I thought he played a pretty good game overall. Not perfect either, but certainly gave himself a good chance to win. And getting Lone Gunman there, obviously, pretty fortunate. So, thanks for watching. I'm going to continue to play. I don't know if I want to focus on 45 minutes or 90 minutes. If I did 90 minutes, I would track every card, which really changes everything, honestly. Like, your really approach to the game, but I don't know. I kind of like challenging myself to use my memory a bit more, so I might stick with 45 minutes. I wish 60 minutes were an option, but I'll continue to experiment. And thanks for coming along with me.